Well, Mondays has always been declared the most boring day starting the weekend. But however, we decided to keep your Mondays fun and exciting for all of you. But for today, if you guys are big fans of Japanese wrestling, well, guess what? That's what we're going to be reviewing. We're going to be reviewing three Japanese promotions from their events that took place started from last month and early this month as well. First things first, we got Big Japan Pro Wrestling in Korakuen Hall. We have a couple of death matches and I believe two title matches as well. Then we move on with DDT Pro Wrestling with Into the Fire, featuring certain title matches and special matches that I think many of us are going to enjoy. And then we move on with Pro Wrestling Noah with the Great Voyage in Nagoya that took place recently on the 2nd of March. And this one features plenty matches, one of them being, of course, the GHC Junior Heavyweight title defended. And I believe we also continue with more of the Victory Challenge Tag League as well. And then, of course, we cap it up with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, any signed wrestlers, and of course, developments that has been happening around in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from a lot of promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real timing news updates to keep you guys updated on what's going on as soon as we hear it in the world of pro wrestling. We also do the Nagasaki Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions are now set aside and been done. Let's begin with our very first review, and I believe that's going to be none other than Big Japan Pro Wrestling, or as we call it, BJW. Okay, Big Japan Pro Wrestling, or BJW. Now, if you guys are new to the channel or unfamiliarized with this promotion, let me give you guys a quick rundown. This is a promotion based out of Japan. Yes, they're kind of similar. They had like a similar type of naming, like New Japan, All Japan, and then there's Rio Japan, that sort of thing. But anyway, Big Japan is in fact a promotion that not only does good matches, but they also involve themselves in death matches. So this is one of two promotions that I've seen so far involved in death matches. And yeah, we see that all the time. It's not like one of the big companies, but it is a popular promotion if you're a big death match fanatic. But they do also regular matches as well, non-death matches, as we call it. But let's begin begin with our very first match. This recently took place in Korakuen Hall. On it will have originally it was taped on the 18th of February, but it wasn't broadcast until the 24th of February. Our first match, we have tag team action. We have Daichi Hashimoto and Kusuke Sato. They take on Takuya Nomura and Kazumasa Yoshida. Now, I don't recognize three of the names. I am familiarized with Nomura. The dude is talented, not to mention he's one half of the astronauts with Fuminori Abe. So I wasn't expecting a whole lot because this was like most wrestlers I don't follow, but Nomura I am familiarized with him because, like I said, because of his tag team with Fuminori Ape. He was the one who picked up the win. Couldn't tell who he pinned, but it was, in fact, I'm not sure if it was Hashimoto. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but it was a good match for a non-death match, just to let you guys know. Our next match, we have a bit of a six, no, yeah, a six-man tag match. We have Kazuki Hashimoto, Fuminori Abe, and Sakushi Nagawa. They take on Kota Sekifuda, Keiji Tomato, and of course Akito Idaka. I am familiarized with certain wrestlers like Fuminori Abe is one, Sekifuda, and of course Idaka. They're the only ones that I know of. But it was a pretty interesting match. Not to mention I've seen Fuminori Abe, what a talented wrestler he is. He also has a bit of the submission, and he's also a baseball fanatic. He does one of those kind of like the laser beam that Miyu Watanabe does, but he does it too. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case for him because it was, of course, Idaka with an ankle lock onto Nagao that picked up the win. So his team picked up the win as well. Next up, we have another tag match. We have Ruji Ito and what's his name? Daisuke Sekimoto. I'm familiarized with these two. They take on Andy Wu and Rota Hama. Now, Rota Hama, I've seen the guy. He is a big dude. He fits the perfectly of a sumo wrestler. If you guys know what I mean. But I asked myself watching this match, okay, how this is gonna play out between them. I don't know because the thing is, Hama is a very big individual. But in this case, that didn't matter because it was Ito who picked up the win when he applied the frog splash onto Andy Wu to pick up the win. Now, our next match is a G-Shock death match. Now, you probably ask yourselves, what the hell is a G-Shock? Well, at first, I did not know what it meant, but the more I was seeing bit of the big Japan Pro Wrestling shows, I started to question it. And then later I said, oh, makes sense. If you guys don't know what that means, you have to use cinder blocks for that. I know what you're going to say. What? Yes. Cinder blocks are like the main weapon in some capacity. Like, give them a shock that you wouldn't expect. Or something that would shock them, that put them in pain. I mean, if you probably ask yourselves who the hell was bleeding in this match, well, I can tell you who it was. It was, we had Korakuen Ashino and Masushi Takeda. So, but Masushi Takeda was an absolute beast. He picked up an amazing win when he applied a somewhat of a blue thunder bomb on the chair towards, of course, Hashino. So he picked up the win just like that. Now, our next match is a deadly weapons death match. So, yes, we're going to see tons of plunder taking place. We have Yuki Ishida, Yukio Miyamoto, and Sagat taking on Hideyoshi Kawakami, uh, Masuya Takehashi, and Asami Kodaka. So yeah, so basically I am familiar with many of these guys, but of course they brought in tons of plunder, chairs, kendo sticks, whatever they can use in order to pick up the win. But it was of course Idaka with a backdrop driver onto Sagat that picked up the win. So nonetheless, that's how it worked. Now, our next match is one of two championship matches. We have the All Asian Heavyweight title. We have Yasufumi Nakanoi taking on Soi Daimoji. So I am familiarized with Daimoji. We've seen him recently in Gleet. Man, Daimoji was a beast in this match. He was throwing a bit of the powerhouse. You wouldn't think clearly how is he going to put away, of course, Nakanoe. And he did when he applied lariats all the time on him. And he just needed that one lariat. He knocked him out, and it was over. 1, 2, 3. The match was over right from there. Now, our next match, this is our main event. This is the BJW World Strong Heavyweight Championship. We have Kazumi Kikuta versus Yuya Aoki. So, you would think this match was also going to be a bit more hectic. It kind of did. Basically, it took a lot of force, especially when it comes to Aoki when he applied a lariat to finish off Kikuta, and it was over right from there. So, yep, we just saw a bunch of lariats in this match. So it was particularly over. So Aoki retained his belt. So hope you guys enjoyed this one with Big Japan Pro Wrestling. Right now, let's move on with our next review, and I believe that is DDT Pro Wrestling. Okay, DDT Pro Wrestling. It's been a while since I did a review. I cannot remember which one I did, but this one is a pretty good one. They introduced a brand new wrestler. I don't know what's so special, but they were calling him Rampage, but for some odd reason. I'm not sure if he was involved in some other occupation prior before pro wrestling, but he was in the main event. But we do have, I believe, maybe one title match involved, but we'll see how that grows up. Now, this recently took place in Korakuen Hall on the 28th of February. Our first match, we have a 6-man tag match. We have Uni, Illusions, and Yuki Ino taking on well, I don't know exactly what they call themselves, but it's Antonio Honda, Masahiro Takanashi, and Chris Brooks. So yes, part of me would think that this match was going to fall in favor with, of course, with Honda, Masa, and of course Chris, just by watching this. But it took only a good combination of double pinfall by both Brooks and Hamasa that picked up the win against Uni and Illusions. But as in the post match, of course, Yuki Ino was like going, "What the hell just happened? How did we lose?" So they had to tell him that we got pinned at the same time. So basically that was what happened. Now, once the match was over, Chris Brooks was doing a bit of a post match promo, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we saw the sudden appearance of Zack Sabre Jr. Now, if you guys did not know this, yes, it's the same Zack Sabre Jr. from New Japan. He showed up. Now, it's no secret that both Chris and Zack are from the same country in, in the UK. So it was still, they were both speaking in Japanese. I don't know what they were talking about. But it was made clear that that Zack Sabre Jr. wants to team up with Chris, but to take on the current KOD Openweight Champion and the DDT Universal Champion Yuki Ueno, and of course Mao. So the obvious question, what day was going to take place? Well, it's already been decided that this is going to be a tag match between Chris Brooks and Zack Sabre Jr. They take on 37 Kamina's Yuki Ueno and Mao are two respected champions, and this will take place on the 4th of April. So I'm looking forward to see that. Excuse me. Our next match, we have tag team action. We have Soma Takawa and Akito taking on Damnation TA, consistent of Kanon and Daisuke Sasaka. Now, it's strange that Soma Takawa had to deal with Sasaki again. Now, those who don't know, Sasaki used to was the one who plotted Soma Takawa to kicked out of the group due to his insolence for their failures and all that other stuff. But, however, it was Kanon who picked up the win when he pinned what's his name, Takoa, in pinfall, winning, giving the match win by, of course, a damnation. So I'm sure, what's his name, Soma Takao actually suspected it, but it kind of did. Now, our next match, we had a very interesting match. We have Sunsha Muscle Survivor, consisting of Kazuki Irada, Shinya Aoki, Naruki Doi. They take on the current uh, KOD Trio six-man tag team champions, Totowashi, Makoto Oshio, and Danshuko Dino. So you probably would think there was going to be some funny moments when it comes to this match, but I like how Totowashi and what's his name, Narukudoi, were getting into that moments where they're like a draw and all this other stuff. But um, nonetheless, Dino actually showed his bare ass again. But it was Irada who had to suffer the consequences when he got his head stuck up his ass. But however, that did not stop there because it was Naruki Doi once again with his usual try to take advantage of. He pinned Oshio to pick up the win. However, they were throwing out a match, but however, Irada was still stuck, has head stuck up Dino's ass. But it appears that Naruki Doi has other plans that he wants to do for his team, and it turns out he is targeting the KOD six-man tag team championships. So that's gonna be interesting to see. So we'll find out when that day happens. So, yeah. Now, our next match, we have Toy taking on MJ Paul. There was no secret between these two guys that they're rivals because of their respected units. Toy is from 37 Kamina, and as for MJ Paul, he's from Damnation TA. So, but however, I kind of figured, like we've seen with House of Torture, that Damnation TA were going to get themselves involved. That's exactly what's going to happen. But luckily, Toy's teammate Shuna Katsumata showed up to give a helping hand, but it was in fact Toy with a roll up onto Paul and picked up the win. I'm sure Damnation TA will get retribution for that, but that's another time for another location. Now, our next match, we have tag team match, and we have Rukiya and Yukio Naya taking on Yoshitatsu and Kazusada Iguchi. I thought the match was pretty good because Yuki Naya, he is a beast. I mean, the guy deserves to be at the top of the championship rank conversation. You know, he had the best matches, but unsuccessful to win the top prize, the KOD Openweight title. But it was, of course, a power slam by Iguchi onto uh, Rukia to pick up the win. So that kind of ended right there for them. Now, our next match is the semi-main event. We have championship match. We have the DDT Universal Title. We have this guy named Hikaru Mashida, who in fact is like a kickboxing or Muay Thai expert. He takes on Maho. Now, Maho has a bit of a martial arts background. I've seen him how he acts all the time. But man, he took the punches with Mashida. You know, like jabs, uppercuts, all of it. But it was, of course, the Michinoku driver by Mao who picked up the win. And then, of course, there was a promo he did to explain. However, during the promo, he was visited by none other than Takeshi Masida. Oh, I'm going to presume that Masida is asking for a shot of the DDT Universal title, which I believe is the reason he's there. So we'll see about that. Now, our main event, we have Takeshi Masada, Hideki Okatani, and Tetsuya Endo. They take on 37 Kamina's Shuna Katsumata, Yuki Aino, and of course, the new wrestler, KC Takeshi. That guy, I have to say, people were behind Takeshi. I don't know much about him, but it seems like he really wanted to be there, and I think his training paid off well. I'm sure he was targeted because, of course, he's the bigger star. But of course, I didn't notice how. Well, not to say that they're scumbags. Katsumata and Aino decide, you know what? Let's give him his moment. So he was shining. But of course, it was Ueno who picked up the win when he applied the best moonsault ever onto Okatani, and it was over from there. But I thought it was a pretty good match, and not to mention, I think what's his name, Takeshi really had a great time. I think he really enjoyed being around these guys. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually made him a member of the 37 Kamina, but we'll see. The show was pretty good, not gonna lie. So I think that's pretty much it right now with DDT. I believe it's time for our last and final review, and that is Pro Wrestling Noah. Okay, Pro Wrestling Noah. Great Voyage 2024 in Nagoya. This took place recently at the start of this month on March 2nd. Now, we do feature one title match and, of course, more with the annual tournament Victory Challenge Tag League. But we do have other matches we will be talking about in this one. I forgot what's the name of the venue that we're at, but yes. Now, our very first match, we have singles action. We have Alejandro taking on Ninja Mac. Now, it's no secret that these two were tag team partners. Now, recently, they haven't been getting the successful they were looking for when it comes to the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team title. So, however, we know they can find success in singles competition and this and that. But the real question is who is going to walk out as the winner, which is obvious. But you know that this match was going to have a bit of the high flying aspects in this match, and it did. But it was Ninja Mac with the Phoenix Splash onto Alejandro and picked up the win. But as soon as the match was over, Ninja Mac decided to shake his hands, knowing that yes, they've been through a big battle, and the obvious question does tell, will we see them again teaming up? Well, Ninja Mac had to carry him to the back. Well, not lift him upwise, but wrap his arm around them and just carry him all the way to the back. So we could see them team up again, but the real question is when. So only time will tell. Our next match, we have a bit of a tag match. We have Junta Miyawaki and Hajime Ohara. They take on members of Team Noah, Hiroki and Akitoshi Saito. Now we know that the Team Noah has not been getting the right footing they need, but however, the one thing that was X factor is three of the competitors are junior heavyweight competitors. Hiroki is one, and so is his opponents, Miyawaki and Ohara. You would think that was gonna be there, but however, Akitoshi Saito, he's the one guy you don't want to miss because the guy is older, like he's in his 50s. But don't let the age fool you. And that's exactly what happened. He actually, first, he did a combination of a back fist and then Insiguri. Then he pinned Miyawaki in 1, 2, 3. Akitoshi Saito picked up the win. Next up, we have six-man tag match. We have Naomichi Marufuji, Yoshinari Ogawa, and Super Crazy taking on the members of GLG, consistent of Yohei, Anthony Green, and Jack Morris. Now, it's no secret that Ogawa and Daga will be challenging for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. But, however, I wouldn't be surprised if um, for the other titles as well. But in this case, ugh, it was a great submission by Ogawa to put away Yohei to pick up the win. However, this is a preview before they have their tag team title match. As you know, Yohei is one half of the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships with Tadasuke, and as for Ogawa, he and Daga will be challenging for those belts. So we'll see what happens. Excuse me for a minute. My throat. Anyway, speaking of GLG and the junior heavyweight division, LG Clearing, who represent GLG, takes on Hayata. Now, this plays a very important moment of the match. Now, as you know, Hayata is one of the best junior heavyweight competitors in Noah. I think he's about 3 or 4 times that he won that belt. But as for LJ Clearing, we know that Jake Lee said that he would love to see LJ Clearing to have a title of his own, since we know that Yohei and Tadasuke are the current GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, and Anthony Green and Jack Morris are the current GHC Tag Team Champions, and Jack Morris is the current National Champion. He would love to see that with LJ Clearing, but this was a good opportunity since he's facing Hayata, who is one of the best competitors. So he would do whatever it takes to put himself in the conversations that, yes, I want to be part of the junior heavyweight title conversation. However, he nearly had this match won because his hand was on the rope. Referee saw that, but unfortunately, it was Hayata who rolled him up, and he's laughing his butt off, telling him it was a 3 count. So basically, no matter what he thinks to do, he lost focus, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next 2 matches are part of the Victory Challenge Tag League. This is the second round, I believe. Now, no, yeah. But anyway, our first match, we have Alpha Wolf and Dragon Bane taking on Yu Owada and Keno. Now, Keno and Owada did not have a good match on the first day, but second day was a very impressive one when they ended up in the draw. Despite that Keno knows that Owada did his best on that draw, and of course, he was happy that he did not get the best out of Kiyomiya, who knows will try to humiliate him. But unfortunately, that didn't do any well for him, because it was Dragon Bane who applied the shooting star press onto him to pick up the win. I'm sure Keno was proud that Owada was able to hold his own as possible until finally he gave up, or his body gave up on him. So Owada is the kind who will not give up, but it was just too much for him. However, the point system now tells us we have 4-1. We know that Keno and Owada have 1 draw, but no wins. So they have like a total of 0, 1, 2. So basically, no wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses. As for Alpha Wolf and his brother, we know they have 2 wins and 1 losses, so that's not bad. Now, our next match, we have Shuji Kondo and Manabu Soya taking on Masa Kitamiya and Daisuke Inaba. Man, now, here's the thing. Manabu Soya and Masa Kitamiya are no strangers from each other, since they were members with Kondo. He was later a member of Congo. So it's interesting. But this was a bit of a powerhouse type match. But unfortunately, this match ended after 20 minutes in a time limit draw. So basically, Shuji Kondo and Manabu Soya gets 3 points with 1 win, 1 draw, and a loss. And as for Masa and Daiki Inaba, they have at least 2 losses and a draw. So that's what we get from here. Now, our next match, we have the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship, Tadasuke versus Daga. Now, Tadasuke issued the challenge because they made a promise that they want all the titles to be part of the GHC. GLG. That's what happens. But Daga is not going to be allowing someone like Tadasuke to reign on his kingdom that he built. Now, you would think that Daga, who always finds ways to win his matches, he did. When the referee was out, he used a low blow on Tadasuke, then, of course, the Diablo Wings, giving him the opportunity to retain the belt. However, what happened? Yohei tried to get in their faces for all this mess, but it didn't do any well. He ended up being beaten himself. But yes, so that's what happened. So basically, Dago retained the belt, but the real question is, who will be the one to do it? Well, that's going to be a very tough question. Now, our next match is a Victory Challenge Tag League match. We have Real, consistent of Saxon Huxley and Timothy Thatcher, taking on Team Noah's Atsushi Koroge and Go Shiozaki. I thought this match was also a pretty good one and a tough one for Koroge. Now, I keep mentioning this countless times. Koroge originally is a junior heavyweight competitor who decided to jump ship to to heavyweight. He did pretty good, but however, I was so surprised. Not Koroge, he managed to hold on as possible, but he was not the one that initiated the win. It was in fact Go Shiozaki with a lariat onto Saxon Huxley, giving them their next 2 points. So at this point, we know that Real, Huxley, and Thatcher already have their first loss. So that means they're 2-1 on this one. As for Team Noah, well, they have the same thing, 2-1. Now, our next match, we have Kazuyuki Fujita and Jake Lee. Now, they have encountered themselves each other before. I, I wasn't too sure what to think of it, but this match, well, it was a bit of a powerhouse. No one was knocked down. Someone had to pick up a win, but unfortunately, Fujita wasn't going to let Jake Lee to pick up the win. But the match ended in a 30-minute time limit draw, so that kind of sets it up all for everybody. So now you know. Now, our main event is part of the Victory Challenge Tag League. We have Ulka Zazaki and Takashi Sugiura. They take on Rohei Oiwa and Keito Kiyomiya. Now, last time we know, I mentioned this before, Kiyomiya was not happy with the results, how the match ended with him and with Keno and Owada in a time limit draw. But the real question is, can they pick up the win on this one? That's something that I think many of us would think. But however, it was, of course, Kiyomiya who applied a very strong lariat onto Sugiura. We know that Sugiura had recently bad knee problems, but it was the figure four that allowed him to win and picking up their first official win. So they finally get a win on this one. So that's how it ends. However, Zazaki and Sugiura, they have the total of 4 points with 2 wins and 1 loss. As for Oiwa and Kiyomiya, 3 points with 1 loss, a draw, and a win. So basically 3 points. So we're gonna see how things progress from here on out with Pro Wrestling Noah on the Victory Challenge tournament. And I think we'll see what happens until then. But for right now, I think we're done with our reviews. Let's just move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So this is what we have. So let's begin with updates with the promotions on their upcoming events. Let's begin with GCW with everything in one single swoop. For the Ashes to Ashes show on the 9th of March, we have Blake Christian. He teams up with Mance Warner to take on the Garbage Daddies, consisting of Alec Price and Cole Radrick. Now, one thing that was interesting is seeing Blake Christian and Mance Warner teaming up. Now, we know that Mance Warner is determined to reach the top, but I wouldn't be surprised if either Blake Christian stabs him or Mance Warner does it for him. Who knows? Now, a month later on during WrestleMania week, as you know, there will be in Philly for April 4th for Bloodsport 10. It was announced that, of course, Murder Grandpa slash The King, Minoru Suzuki will be in action to take on Royce Isaac. So that's going to be interesting. Now, a month after that, in May, on Cinco de Mayo, we have the Gringo Locos World on Lucha that will take place on the 5th of May. They announced the debut of Galeno del Mal. Now, those who aren't familiarized with him, Galeno del Mal is the son of Dr. Wagner Jr., and you may know his brother, his big brother, Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., the current GHC heavyweight champion. So it's interesting now that we have this guy here. But dude is a beast. Trust me, guys, you don't want to miss it. Now, moving on. For Jersey Championship Wrestling, JCW, for March Madness, it was announced Teriyaki will be in action against Mr. Danger. This will take place on the 10th of March. Now, fortunately, some interesting developments has happened for Kitsune Women's Wrestling. That'll take place on the 24th of March. Apparently, Lylan Doom will be unable to participate in the show. However, the promoter announced that they recruited Everly Rivera to replace her, and Rivera will be in a trios match against Milo and Aspen Rose. So that is something nice. And then finally, SAPRK Joshi Puroresu of America did it again. As you know, they're for their upcoming Philly show on April 7th. Trailblaze, another Stardom talent. That makes it four that has been announced to be, and that is Azumi. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I did state it on the last news updates on the last episode. Each of these girls that they picked are from representing their respective factions. We do have, of course, Mina, who represents um, EVX, Mayu Iwatani Stars, Starlight Kid represents Oyotai, and now Izumi representing Queen's Quest. So the obvious question is who will be representing um, God's God's Eye and Cosmic Angels. That is something we definitely will be seeing. But if I was Cosmic Angels, I'll probably pick Tam Nakano. That would have been my obvious choice. And as for God's Eye, well, it's either Saki Kashima or Suri, one of the two. But we'll see. Now, we're done with the updates on the promotions. Now, updates with the WrestleCon event in Philly. They announced that Rock and Roll Express will be participating in this event. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, WWE Hall of Famers and multi-time tag champions. Yeah, so if you guys are planning to go to WrestleCon in Philly, go get your passes now before you want it, so you can meet them. Now, interesting developments has come around. Tony Khan, this one is a very interesting one. As you know, there's been a very strong partnership between AEW and CMLL recently. It appears that Tony Khan has been in talks with Salvador Luthroth about other things. It just revealed that Tony Khan would like to bring Stephanie Valkyr into AEW. I have to say that's a great option, to bring in some other talent from outside, and I'm sure there'll be more. Continue on. As you know, Santana is no longer with AEW, so he's a free agent. So we'll see where his career goes, but we'll continue to support him no matter what. Now, interesting developments, as you know, with Sting now retired from pro wrestling. The city of Greensboro, North Carolina, has declared March 3rd a national holiday for themselves called Thank You Sting. So, as you know, this is where the career of Sting started, and of course, it ended. But more on Sting. Now, if you guys know, I don't watch Raw or SmackDown, and I don't need to give you guys reasons why, because I repeat it sometimes. I got bored. But that's not the real reason I'm putting this here. For some odd reason, Michael Cole and Pat McAfee have acknowledged Sting's last match. So basically, Michael Cole mentioned it about it, and then of course Pat McAfee called it an epic match. So you probably thinking I wouldn't expect them to say that, but however, we know for a fact one particular person will never let that happen to be mentioned, and well, he's not there, so it's a good thing. Now, an interesting thing by Scott Edwards. As you know, this weekend, Natsupoi returns to Stardom after recuperating from an injury. He said something that is very interesting, and I think I ought to read this for all of you. Let me pull it up real quick. Yes, here it is. He said, everyone's seeing in real time, before she even makes her official return, the elevation of Natsupoi to one of the new faces of Stardom. The reality of being Tam Nakano's successor has always been there since joining Cosmic Angels, but it becomes more clear of a point in this new regime. So, from what he is perspecting saying, we know that Tam doesn't have much time left. We know that because of her recent injury, because of her age and all this other stuff. So it's most likely that Natsupoi could take over Cosmic Angels. She's a bit more younger than Tam, and of course the talk of that she could take over as the leader Cosmic Angels. I think that is something that most likely can happen. We've seen that with many leaders over the years in factions, especially in Stardom. If you guys remember when Io Shirai was the leader of Queen's Quest, she gave the responsibilities to Momo Watanabe. And we all know what happened to her, but now the leader who runs it is Utame Ashita. So that sort of thing can go on. And as for, of course, Oedo Tai, we know there were two leaders, Yasukawa and, of course, Kyoko Kimura. They were both co-leaders, but later it was, what's her name? Kagetu took over, and then, of course, Natsuko Tora. So there's that taking place as well. So with Natsupoi, that is something we're definitely going to be watching and paying attention on her return this weekend. So I think that's pretty much it with everything else. So I think it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have NXT for the next one. I'm not sure yet if what else I'm going to be doing watching. There's still some more wrestling I haven't seen, even some from last month. I mean, I am behind on GCW, and we'll see how things will progress from here on out. So, like I did for this particular episode, I'll just wing it. So I'm really good at it. But for right now, let's just leave things like this how it is, and I'll see you guys on the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.